Yeah, my name is Andreas Kunsmann. I've been working for Capgemini Invent. This is actually a quite new brand, rebranded this year, this week. And I specialize in the fields of AR and VR, and today I want to share my experiences in the fields of how to elaborate strategies in this field, and yeah, how you do this along the needs of your end users, because this is very important. Why strategy? Most of the companies that we see, and when I say companies, I mean we talk about the industry, basically automotive industry, manufacturing, aerospace, high-tech industries. And we see that these companies, they have different initiatives around AR and VR, but these are not aligned. So they have a pilot, a VR pilot in training, or they have several ideas about VR, then they have a proof of concept in AR, they use AR for marketing, and then they have a few other ideas, but there's nobody who has an overview of all these initiatives and who understands how you get the synergies between these different initiatives. Because at the end of the day, these different cases, they might use the same data from the same systems and so on. So this is very crucial. The second reason is many companies that we talk to face the challenge to find the right use cases for the technology. So they're very keen to know more about AR and VR, but yeah, they don't know, okay, what's the first use case that I should work with? What is the next use case? What's the target picture? And what kind of use cases are interesting for me in general in order to change my business model or to fit my general digital strategy. So where to start? What is the target picture? And what are the trigger points to change mindsets? Because every time you want to introduce emerging technologies into bigger corporations, into yeah, a broader range of people, it takes a lot of energy, and you have to inspire these people and in order to get them in touch with the technologies. So the fourth point is the one that I think everybody of you knows. It's the lack of data and lack of technological maturity. It's one of the biggest obstacles that we are facing, and the industry is working on that very yeah, intensively. And the holy grail of the fifth point is the smooth integration into existing technologies, into existing legacy systems where your data are, for example, CAD data, metadata, but also data about your manufacturing processes in SAP systems, but also in customer relationship management data and so on. And also you need to integrate the technology into your culture of your company, of your corporation. So the key success factor is to find all about your problems and all about your ideas that are in your company in terms of visualization and new ways of collaboration. You really need to understand your problems. That's key to every strategy in this field. And then you can assess them and tackle them. And the next thing, or the main strategic goal, is not to have a paper on the table at the very end. It is to unleash creativity and energy of all your stakeholders. So when I talk about all your stakeholders, it's the management, but it's also the end user, and it's the IT and the business. And everybody needs to understand this strategic goal. And I mean, in this field, different people from different backgrounds, they have to work together in order to be successful. And so this is your strategic goal. But how do you frame a strategic yeah, picture that everybody understands and everybody can follow to? So for this reason, you need a user-centric approach. This is an example of one project that we did where we started with a call to ideas. So everybody could hand in their ideas with some sort of yeah, competition of ideas and so on. So this was the first touch point where we integrated people into the project from different departments. In phase one, we focus on the problem. And so we do problem workshops, of course. And this is very interesting because every time you do projects in the fields of AR and VR, the people want to get in touch with the technology, but don't let them do. You have to let these people focus on the problems that you really want to tackle with this technology. This is very, very crucial. So the goal of this phase is to understand the company, but also the people that are the future users of this technology. They need to understand their own problems, and they have to think about the business needs actually. And then you can start to explore and synthesize, and then it's very important to consolidate these user problems to a very precise articulation. So everybody needs the business needs. All of your stakeholders understands your problems and your business needs. And in the next phase, phase 2, is the solution phase. This is where you ideate, where you prototype, and where you test. And that means that you find the right use case for each problem, and you get the business cases at the very end. So when you ideate, you get the right use case, and then prototyping means in this strategic approach that you let them draw storyboards, because you can't describe everything in words. You have to let them draw their own pictures, their own pictures that they have in mind, own scenarios. So this full process here is something that we do very, very closely with the end users, and we bring them through the whole process. And at the very end, the result is something that they can, that they produce by themselves. And this is something that is very, very important, because at the end, you need to finalize a strategy, and you need all that input, all of your use cases and the business cases. And the sort of prioritization of these use cases to understand, okay, what is the impact of that insights? What kind of organization do I need in order to get these use cases alive? And what is an IT reference architecture, which is quite an IT target picture? Or how does a framework look like in order to standardize different applications along my whole company? Or the fourth thing is the derivation of the necessary skills that you need in case the company says, I want to build all these use cases by myself. So this is quite important. So how does this look like? So if you do this approach, you get a lot of ideas. You get lots of use cases, and I'll show you an example later on. You need to standardize the way how you describe these use cases. And also you need to standardize the way how you do the business cases. And at the same time, you need to make sure that everybody understands this. So here's an example. The problem description is very, very important when it's a bit more complicated. Then the use case description is something that is that is very important in order to get everybody on board. So I'll show you later. Then the storyboard and the technical solution. This is the description of the idea and of the use cases. And then on the right side with the spines, you assess the benefits and the technological complexity. So with the description, you describe the use case itself. In the middle, you describe the problem, which is very, very important. And on the right side, you describe what's my current mode. How do I work today? And so you have a feeling of, okay, how big is the impact on my business process today, and so on. And on the lower side, you see this red, red highlighted a sentence here. It's where you try to describe your problem in one sentence, so it's understandable for everybody, for the IT guys, for the business, for the managers, and so on. And this is the main point with which you go into the next phase to draw the solution, to find the use cases, and so on. Then you let them draw the storyboards, like I said. This is also very important to communicate to the IT side of the project, to the IT stakeholders, and with this input, the developers, they can elaborate a first solution draft. You see that on the right side. So basically, when you assess a certain amount of use cases, you build these solution drafts in a modular way. So you understand what kind of modular, what kind of pieces do you need for this solution. And at the very end, you can see what kind of modular solution bits and pieces do you need for every use case along your roadmap. Yeah. Then it comes to the evaluation of the benefits and the assessment of the technological complexity. The left one is what you do very, very closely with the business. They need to assess in different dimensions. This is quantitative and qualitative. So on the right side, we have time, cost saving, quality. This is the classic dimensions when it comes to KPIs and so on. And on the left side, we have qualitative dimensions such as usage range. So how many users will be affected by the use case? How does this drive innovation? And do you create new offerings or maybe new business models with this use case? On the right side, the technological complexity is defined by the requirements in terms of rendering, tracking, hardware, like the end devices that I need for this case, the content, where does it come from? Is it in real time? Maybe for IoT use cases and so on. And also the capabilities. So is it just about visualization, but also maybe I want to interact with the content or I want to modify the content? In terms of collaboration, it's important to understand, is it a single user application or do I want to collaborate with different people from different locations? And then you have a first idea, okay, how complex is this solution? And the nice thing about these spines is, well, you can comment these different solutions, but also you can overlay different use cases on one spine, and then you can find out where do I want to focus on and so on. Basically, from the right side, you can derive the cost of your use case. And you do this for proof of concept, for a pilot, or even for a industrialized solution. Depending on where you stand on your journey. And then you have like different like a point system. So we have 6 dimensions and three steps to the in between. So you can gain 18 points in terms of technological complexity and 18 points in terms of benefits or benefit potentials. And then you get a first idea of how you can cluster these use cases in different fields. We did this here in the 4-field matrix. On the left side, there's the bar for the technological complexity, and on the lower side, the bar for the benefits. And then you have cases with low complexity but high benefit potential. And these are the cases where you can start to discuss with your client. This is very interesting for proof of concept. This is good for pilots. This is where you have quick wins grow or start your journey for your AR and VR target picture. And on that side here, this is where you have a high complexity, more or less high cost in terms of implementation, but also high benefit potentials. And this is what you do basically afterwards. When you have more knowledge about the technology, about the processes that you have to implement in behind, or when you start to develop a content pipeline from the backends into the front ends and so on. And on the left side, where you have the high complexity but low benefits, this is the area where you say, okay, these cases you have to validate them again after some time, maybe next year or maybe in 2 years, and so this is how we cluster these use cases and give our clients a bit of a structure and to understand this is a starting point for you and so on. But there's a lot of other additional factors that you have to consider, like how affine is the department to the technology, how important is AR and VR to the stakeholders, how strongly does the technology affect the business process actually, what is the user experience for that application potentially, and also how mature is the technology in terms of this use case. And so This is an example of 28 use cases. This is all engineering use cases. So this project was for a big company from Munich where the scope was all engineering departments, design, engineering, research and development departments. So over 2,000 people, I think it was, and this is one of the first results of 28 use cases where we had business cases and also a fundamental framework of how to cluster them and to give them a compass of where to start and how do you evolve along your target picture. So as soon as you know your use case roadmap, you can derive more things, like an AR/VR reference architecture, which is very important to understand to the IT. So there's this assumption that you implement all of these use cases, or 80% of them, and what is the target picture for in terms of a content pipeline and industrialization of these use cases in order you use them every day. And this is one of the results. So in this case, because I said it's in engineering, we have a few systems in the center of our view, like the PLM system where the CAD data is in, but also IoT platforms and VR, AR content repository, which is not there at the time. Then we have a middleware layer and we have an application layer, and this is quite important to understand. Okay, where are we going to in terms of IT architecture? What is a first module that we want to implement? And in this case, one of the focuses was to implement the collaboration platform, because lots of these use cases were about collaboration along different locations. And on the right side, you have the topic about organizational design. So you need to understand how you give these key users that you had in your project and that the organization already has. You need to give them a platform, so the business needs have an address to go to, and this is the community where they can discuss new ideas, new business needs, and so on. And very important, the Works Council is in there too. And then from the technical perspective, very often, as of today, you see it in different companies, there's a competence center, and they assess the technological side of the use case. And so these people come together and will be able to refine the strategy along their journey. Yeah. So AR and VR are very emotional. This is, I think, an experience that everybody of you has done, because it's all about visualization and new ways of collaboration. But what we have done in the past is overselling and to raise expectations that we cannot meet. And this is one of the main reasons why companies want strategies today, and they really want to know where to start and what's the right timing for which use case and so on. And so, yeah, start where you can match these expectations. This is very important. Thank you very much.